Now on KCTV5. Live in your town and across Kansas City. Live at 5 starts now.
We have been living with dangerous cold for days now, and Kansas City will shiver a little while longer.
Yeah, this cold is shattering records. Our low was minus 16 this morning. We hit a high of 1 degree. We want to thank you for joining us on this online-only edition of Live at 5. I'm Brad Stevens.
And I'm Carolyn Long. Thank you for joining us. Many of us had a little snow to dust off our cars today. We are taking a live look now from our State Street Bank City Cam in downtown Kansas City. Might still be a few slick spots with that snow kind of starting to taper off at this hour. Let's get right over to our first Warren 5 meteorologist, Warren Sears, for the latest on this forecast, Warren.
Yeah, I'd say we had a good 3 hours of a burst of light to moderate snow, even reduced visibility at times. Now starting to taper off a little bit, but you can see still just some light snow or some flurry action that will come through over the next hour. But most of the accumulating snow is winding down. But let's take a trip down south of Interstate 70. That is where the heavier band of snow is still falling, pretty much just on the Missouri side. So those of you across Bates, Henry counties, over into Benton County as well, that's where we'll have another hour or maybe even hour and a half of some more moderate snow. So that's where we could pick up another inch, maybe even a little more in localized spots. This will continue off to the east though. So throughout the rest of our evening, I do think more so just a little bit of cold and a little bit of flurry activity and some gusty winds from time to time. 1 is that current temperature right now, but it still feels like 16 below. So while we did finally get above that 0 mark, it's still feeling mighty frigid out there. The west-northwest breeze coming in around 12. So the rest of this evening does feature, again, right above 0 in the low single digits. And then I think overnight we will take a pretty big turn as skies clear to a low of 10 below again tomorrow morning. There is some light at the end of the tunnel. I'll let you know when the warmer air works back in coming up in just a bit. Brad?
All right, thanks, Warren. The extreme cold is forcing several schools to keep kids home tomorrow. This includes Kansas City Public Schools, which called for an AMI day for Tuesday. AMI means classes will be done online. That's virtual learning, and elementary students will have assignments on their choice boards. Liberty will also pivot to virtual learning as well.
And as for school cancellations, Olathe, Shawnee Mission, Blue Valley, and Lawrence are among the districts that will not be holding classes tomorrow. You can find that full listing, and I'm sure that growing list, on our website as well. Live at 5, tenants of a Kansas City apartment complex say their building managers are leaving them out in the cold. Quite literally, they are stuck without any working heat, many of them with pre-existing conditions and few options to turn for help. KCTV5's Alex Love joins us live at 5 now from that apartment complex. Alex?
Well, people inside Gabriel Tower have to bundle up pretty much the same way I am outside once they go in, because they say their apartments are just too cold because the heat is just not working. Now, one of just many examples is Janet Woods, who lives on the 5th floor in the apartment building. She says that her apartment has been so cold for many weeks. She took us inside her apartment, where she's now running her oven at 400 degrees to keep warm. She also hangs blankets over the windows to block the drafts. Despite her landlord giving her and other tenants each a space heater, it isn't powerful enough to heat the whole room. And while safety officials don't recommend any of these devices to provide heat, tenants say they have no choice.
I'm just miserable. And me getting a cold is just not going to help me any. I have arthritis in my bones and diabetic, and if I get frostbite, who's to say I won't lose a leg? I mean, it's not that drastically cold in here, but Saturday night it was so cold that I could not keep warm. I had 4 blankets on my bed, and I was underneath every one of them, covered my head up, and I still got sick.
Now, Gabriel Tower is owned by Millennia Housing. They're headquartered out of Cleveland, Ohio. We reached out to them, plus the city, on multiple occasions today on what they're trying to do to address this issue as these frigid temperatures drag on. But right now, we have not heard back. Live in Kansas City, Alex Love, KCTV 5 News.
Alex, thank you. The freeze in Kansas City has impacted a number of households. The first day of sub-zero temperatures, there were nearly 100,000 homes without power, and now some of those homes have frozen pipes. KCTV5's Ryan Hennessy has been talking with KC Water, insurance agents, and plumbers about the problem. So, Ryan, how many homes in Kansas City have had problems with their pipes during this cold snap?
Brad, that is a great question. So the Kansas City Water Department actually told me that they've received nearly 900 phone calls since last Friday, and some of those were actually request to turn off the water after possibly a pipe actually burst. So let's talk about some preventative measures they can take. Number one, opening up those cabinet doors, and then number two, letting that faucet just drip with water. Those are some of the things that you can actually do to preventative measures that can prevent your pipes from freezing up. That's because running water doesn't freeze as easily. I spoke to some insurance agents that have actually had burst pipe claims. Plumbers are busy and repair estimates vary right now, but on average, a catastrophic fix can come within a day or two. Typically, the homes that are affected by this were built more than 50 years ago. They have those copper or galvanized iron pipes. The newer homes with the plastic pipes do not typically burst. To save yourself time and trouble, you can wrap pipes with heating tape. If a pipe is frozen, though, you can use a blow dryer to warm up the pipe, but do not use an open flame. Plumbers also have a pipe thawing machine that can actually send an electrical current through a water line.
Know your coverages, know your insurance agent, and know the company that you have your policies with. You may have an insurance policy and it may not cover frozen pipes. So you just want to make sure that you know what you have.
And it'll show you that hot shot pipe thawer at 7 o'clock tonight. It really kind of looks almost like jumper cables on our car, Brad. Pretty cool device there. It's a fun thing to kind of learn about. And also we'll talk about some more preventative measures that you can take at home to prevent your pipes from bursting. Reported from North Kansas City, Ryan Hennessy, KCTV5.
All right, Ryan, thank you.
Many shelters offer help for the homeless overnight, but options during the day and a holiday today at that prove to be limited.
Live at 5, Gianni Navarro joins us live from Roland Park with how some organizations are helping the homeless during this brutal cold snap. Gianni?
Yeah, Brad, Carolyn, if you've been outside, you know how unbearable it is, and it's no place you want to be in for long. I'm currently at Roland Park United Methodist Church. The church I'm standing in like right now have turned into temporary warming centers to help out.
It's helping people that are just not in a good place right now and just need our help.
Project 1020, Johnson County's only shelter for adults who are experiencing homelessness.
We have been involved with just caring for our homeless neighbors for a long time.
You're next. And Redemption Church in Olathe answered the call after the need for shelter became too great over the holiday weekend into Monday. Project 1020 transformed Roland Park United Methodist Church, which has been closed, into a daytime warming center and have been open since Saturday, providing food, drinks, entertainment, and a place to rest.
They are so grateful. They love it. They want to be here with us.
Organizers say they had to do something for people on this record cold holiday when other warming centers were closed.
It's unprecedented. The need is unprecedented.
Project 1020 says they saw 20 people come by on Saturday, 44 on Sunday, and around 40 on Monday. Pastor Suttle says they've had 15 to 20 people stop by their church.
We are getting calls all day from just, citizens of Johnson County finding people out, in a tent or huddled up somewhere and bringing them in. We've got a guy in the shower right now who I don't think he's come in to a shelter before.
Today is the last day that this location in Roland Park will be open, but Pastor Suttle says that their location in Olathe will be open again until Tuesday, and he says that if the need is still there, they'll reopen back again this weekend. Live in Roland Park, Gianni Navarro, KCTV5 News.
Yeah, so glad there's at least some place for them to go. Gianni, thank you. And as everyone tries to stay warm in this cold blast, it is always good to have the First Warn 5 app on your phone. You can get an hour-by-hour forecast, video updates, and alerts.
Live at 5, want to show you a live picture here. Looking at Des Moines, Iowa. All political eyes are on the Hawkeye State. We're less than 2 hours from voting now in their first in the nation caucuses. Tonight's caucuses bring a lot of attention also closer to home as well. Soon, Missouri Republicans will be caucusing for the first time. KCTV5's Betsy Webster is there in Des Moines with a closer look at all the hoopla.
You could debate the pros and cons of a caucus versus a primary, but the truth is here in Iowa, well, it's just become a matter of tradition. They've been doing it this way since 1972, and they've jockeyed ever since then to be sure that they're first. The caucuses are tonight, but the excitement and attention has been growing for months with all the candidates vying for a vote tonight. That means more business for stores like Ray Gun.
We get more people in town from all over the country and from other countries. We actually earlier had a news crew from Japan in interviewing us.
This shirt has been a big seller with the news crews in town. Their Des Moines flagship store has an entire section dedicated to caucus merch, from tees to postcards to coasters. They're all about humor. To clarify this shirt, the top vote getter in Iowa is not always the final nominee. Joe Biden wasn't even in the top 3 in 2020. This design was added just a few weeks ago after someone tagged Ray Gun in a tweet about this remark heard from a New Yorker on the subway.
So they just overheard someone say, "What the hell is a caucus?" and "Where the hell is Iowa?" And then we made a t-shirt out of it.
How do you feel about that as an Iowan?
I'm actually originally from New York, so I love it. It sounds very on brand for us.
But every 4 years, Des Moines gets to feel like the greatest city in the universe. She and others told me that one thing they like about being center stage in Des Moines, besides all the extra business, is just being on the map in a place that otherwise is perceived by many people as just a flyover state. Soak that attention in while it lasts, because after tonight's election, after tonight's votes are tallied, the attention turns to New Hampshire. In Des Moines, Iowa, Betsy Webster, KCTV 5 News.
Well, it looks like our temperatures here in Kansas City will rise close to the freezing mark soon, but more winter weather is possible later this week. Let's get right over to First Warn 5 meteorologist Greg Bennett.
Well, friends, I am happy to say we have a little bit of a light at the end of the tunnel around Wednesday, where we get very close to around the freezing mark. But unfortunately, another frontal boundary system on the way. It's a cold front and a good opportunity for us to see a few flakes fly out there. Some of us getting 30-40% chances in our model runs. Others are saying it's more like 5 to 10% chances. So right now we're calling it about 20% chances. Nonetheless, though, it does usher in another northerly track with our wind, and that does drop our temperatures as we move forward towards the end of our work week. Temperatures falling right back down into the 20s on Thursday and then back down to about 10 degrees on Friday. Now, the good news is this does not last. We're going to continue the climb back up as we move on to this coming weekend, and some of our models are dictating the 40s returning to the forecast for next week. Definitely something we're going to keep our eyes on, especially our First Warn 5 meteorologist, Warren Sears.
Well, some consider Martin Luther King Jr. Day a day off. Others see it as a day of action, a time to mark his role in the civil rights movement and the fight for racial equality.
KCTV 5's Nigel Hood joins us live from UMKC, where some say that fight isn't over. Nigel, what are they doing today?
Well, Brad, Carolyn, I'm here at UMKC, where earlier today a day of observance was held honoring Dr. King. This day comes on the heels of the deadliest year of homicides in Kansas City. That's why city leaders and activists say the work isn't over. Their next step in continuing his legacy starts with combating youth violence.
The greatest legacy that we can leave is the ability to move forward and not let our past define us, but let it guide us.
56 years after Dr. Martin Luther King's passing, his memory lives on. Albert Ray is the president of the Beta Lambda chapter of Alpha Phi Alpha, a fraternity Dr. King was a member of during his lifetime.
I joined the organization because of people like him, and I just grew up with a profound wanting to make a difference in the community.
During a visit to Kansas State University in 1968, Dr. King delivered a speech calling for nonviolent protests in the wake of racial injustice. He spoke to members of the local Alpha Phi Alpha chapter, and they say today they're trying to finish the work he started. 2 initiatives they have in place focus on promoting voter engagement and addressing youth violence.
Starts with your neighborhood. You know what? You can be more proud of your neighborhood by simply hey, fixing the curbs on your block or just sweeping.
The work continues at the city level, where a reparations commission is in place to bring justice to the local black community.
Where did Kansas City err in the past? Where in particular did our ordinances, our zoning, restrict the movement of black people? Where did our zoning and ordinances make it so black people couldn't participate in employment in our city and recreation in our city?
Yeah, we've got to have people voting.
It's how Kansas City is trying to make amends for a discriminatory past and work toward a more equitable future.
How we create opportunities for scholarships, how we create opportunities for lending, for communities that have been too often left out.
Mayor Quentin Lucas says the next step for the commission is to research. This could potentially be done with the help of academic researchers who will help unpack Kansas City's past with systemic discriminatory practices. In Kansas City, Nigel Hood, KCTV 5.
Nigel, thank you. Live at 5, let's take a quick peek outside from the plaza. We've got the bitter cold, some snow making things a little slippery out there. It looks winter-like. It is winter-like. It feels winter-like.
Yeah. Mostly when you're driving, Warren, the problem is that blowing snow across the pavement and somewhat whiteout conditions just from the blowing snow, not from anything falling.
When it's this cold, the snow gets real powdery and fine, so it's easier to blow around, but it also sticks a lot faster when you're this cold as well. So those two things definitely made for at least a little bit of tricky travel for a few hours this afternoon. Thankfully, things are winding down a little bit, but all in all, we will see a couple more flurries into the overnight. Let's take a look at the next few days because I think you're really going to like what's to my right here. 31 degrees is making a comeback on Wednesday. Finally, a little bit of a warm-up is on the way. Even Tuesday might feel a little better. Sunny, still cold, but about 14 with plenty of sun at least will help a little bit. That 30 is pretty short-lived, though, because once we get into Thursday, another little front comes through, as Greg mentioned. Some flurries are possible, and then another shot of colder air by the end of the week. So definitely a little bit of an up and down here for sure for the next few days. We still have a first warning in place now into tomorrow with snow showers giving you some minor travel impacts out there, especially here for the next few hours. And then dangerous cold, still the main story early morning tomorrow, as we could have wind chills down potentially as low as 35 below. We did break 2 more records today with that record cold. 16 below was our morning low. That breaks the previous record of 10 below. And 1 is all we got to this afternoon. That breaks the previous record of 6 in 1972. So definitely has been many days of records. I don't think we'll break one tomorrow morning, but we will be coming pretty close. Right now, with your Aetna First Warn weather camera over the plaza, you can see the snow stuck pretty well to the side roads, things like that. So if you do have dinner plans or just plan on getting out this afternoon or into the evening, just take it a little slow. 1 is that current temperature at KCI. Pretty much everybody's sitting in those lower single digits, but unfortunately the wind chills are well below 0 still, as we have had for many days, and will continue in through our morning tomorrow. The more steady band of snow to the southeast of Kansas City right now, you can see we're just going to deal with a little bit of flurry activity on the back edge of this, but skies eventually clear overnight. Still, though, some light snow showers right now. As we take a trip to the south of Interstate 70 on the Missouri side, from Bates into Henry into Benton counties, that's where the heavier band is still setting up. So you guys could pick up maybe another ½ inch to an inch down in that region, with the rest of us starting to slow things down a little bit. And I think by 7, 8 o'clock, a lot of this is gone. And then you see skies clearing here into the overnight and early morning tomorrow. So again, plenty of sun tomorrow. Really a lot to look forward to. I know we're only talking teens, but I promise you it'll feel nice compared to feeling below 0, 40 below at times. So dusting to an inch down to the southeast still is what you could pick up a little bit more. 10 below is my forecast low. We'll have a northwest to west breeze about 5 to 15, and by the afternoon I'm going 14 degrees with the west-southwest wind also about 5 to 15. Just a reminder though, wind chill warnings in place through the morning on Tuesday, and this is why as we wake up in the morning tomorrow, that's where we could have minus 30 to maybe even minus 35 in some spots for that wind chill. So still super dangerous. Please limit any skin exposure. It looks like a lot of schools are starting to cancel, but if you do have to head into the office or school tomorrow, just keep that in mind. Up and down a bit in your Security Bank 7-day forecast, 10 and 17 Friday and Saturday. However, starting Sunday, back to the 30s, maybe even near 40 Monday. And guys, all next week, I'm seeing signs of 30s and 40s as well. So there's a lot to look forward to.
It's going to feel balmy at that point.
Yeah.
Thank you, Warren. Tax season is here, and scams unfortunately come right along with it. The Better Business Bureau is sending a warning now to taxpayers, especially young adults. KCTV5's Janae Hancock has some of the red flags to look out for.
The BBB says tax season is a huge opportunity for scammers to make money. The most vulnerable people ages 18 to 24. Here are a few tips to avoid being scammed this year. The BBB wants taxpayers to look out for unsolicited communication, threats, and intimidation tactics, requests for upfront payment with non-traditional payment methods, and unusual requests for personal information. Lastly, try filing your taxes as early as possible.
Filing early will prevent identity theft since it reduces that window of opportunity for thieves to submit fraudulent returns. It also minimizes the chance that you'll be targeted by tax preparation schemes that are often too good to be true.
The method of communication is also important. You will never be contacted by email, text, or social media. The IRS will start officially accepting 2023 tax returns on January 29th. People have until April 15th to get their taxes filed. Here in studio, Janae Hancock, KCTV5 News.
Coming up after the game, we're looking ahead to the Chiefs' next opponent in their road to repeat, whether it'll be the Bills or the Texans. That and more starting at 7 o'clock.
Everyone, thank you for joining us for this special halftime online edition of Live at 5.
Join us on KCTV5 after the game right around 7 o'clock for a full hour of news, and then again later at 10 o'clock. Have a good night, everyone.